Welcome back to the VIP Collective. Today we are starting a new series called the Big Day Mini-Series. In this series, we will be chatting with past guests and former brides about some of their favorite moments during the big day, and even more importantly, the lessons that came with planning their own wedding. Who better to learn from than those who have already paved the way? In today's episode, we are kicking it off with past guest and wedding planner Melissa Baum of Melissa Baum Events. We hear about what she learned from the photo shoot planning to sending out her RSVP cards and how to get the party started at your wedding. To hear Melissa's full story, head over to season 1, episode number 19 of the VIP Collective on any of our stations. Now buckle up and let's go, because this is the Big Day Mini-Series with Melissa Baum Events. Welcome to the VIP Collective, Melissa Baum.
Yep. Here I am again.
Thanks for having
me again.
Yes, you are our guest on season 1, episode number 19 of the VIP Collective. So if you haven't had an opportunity to check out Melissa's story, head over and watch that on YouTube, or you could listen to it on any one of our stations. It's nice to see you again.
You too.
I wish it was at a wedding, but hey, we'll do what we can here.
or your apartment. But
exactly. Yeah. But here we are. So we've been doing, as you know, the COVID series. And, you know, I think we've got a lot of great feedback from everyone who was learning and kind of using it as a guidance platform to understand how they should navigate during this time. But I think what I wanted to do was bring a little bit of a different flavor to the podcast and go for more of a lighthearted approach. So what I wanted to do, and especially because you've been a guest and you are married, I wanted to create a new mini-series called the Big Day Mini-Series. So essentially, we're having you on and we're going to ask you questions about your day, your wedding day, and what you learned, and even how what you learned has helped you with wedding planning now. So 100%. We're just kind of flipping the switch here and changing things up. So thanks for jumping on today. Let's get going. Are you ready?
Great. Yep.
Okay.
Always.
So tell us about, number one, when you got married, because let's start right at the beginning. When did you get married?
Mm-hmm. Got married in May of 2014.
Okay. So not that long ago.
Not that long ago, but it was one of the first weddings I had planned, and really helped me instill trust in friends to then hire me and to help kickstart my business, for sure.
Amazing. So how long were you guys together before you got married?
We were together. He proposed on our 5-year anniversary, and then we got married 17 months after that. So 6 and a bit.
Yeah. Okay. And what month were you married in?
May.
Oh, May. Sorry. Did you say that?
Yeah.
What was the date?
May.
I blacked out.
May 18th, to be specific.
May 18th, 2014.
14, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about May 18th, 2014.
Yeah.
So let's walk through the wedding day a little bit. What was, do you think, a lesson, like if you're now sitting back and reflecting on that day specifically, what do you think was a lesson that or something that happened that was either good or bad that you kind of haven't forgotten since then?
So I do have to say my day, from a good perspective, went off without a hitch in my eyes. I have to say, if there were any hiccups, a team of people did a very good job at shielding me from them. So I have nothing negative to say in that respect. I think, not that it was bad, but it's definitely an experience that happened on the wedding day that's really formed part of what I now do on wedding days. One was the family photos. I think I was too ambitious with my shot list, and no one had really told me that. And I wish, now I vet all my clients' shot lists. And then, so I think family photos just got heated and yelling ensued for no reason. So I always try to keep family photos as least chaotic as possible.
So when you say ambitious, do you mean you tried to cram too many into a small time frame?
No, I made a shot list. It included every permutation you could imagine. And no one told me that was not the approach. Obviously, now, 6 years later, there's obviously the handful of family photos that we still look at, but definitely did not need all the combinations. And even trying to attempt all the combinations, I think, led to stress.
Okay.
There didn't need to be.
So are there main, like, do you kind of give guidance on groupings? Like, okay, you're going to want grandma, grandpa, like you kind of give like a structured outline. And then if they want to add people from there, they can do that. Is that kind of how you do it?
So I give a template and then they send it back to me. And I find even some people, like I tell people it's a template. I don't know the makeup of your family. So obviously adjust to what suits your needs. But then I'll get shot lists sometimes that are just way too long. Again, unnecessary combinations. Like if you actually read them at their core, they're practically the same, minus maybe one person. So I do always try to help clients trim them down.
Do you think if you have a bigger, like a larger family and you are working with a planner, like it's important to have that person who's grabbing people and making people, kind of giving them guidance that they should be present for?
Right. So that's mandatory on all our wedding days, no matter size, scale, does not matter. That is a given. And that was something that didn't happen right away on my wedding day. Someone did step in. But I think part of why someone had to step in was just wasn't as smooth as it could have been from the get-go. So we do our best to mitigate that.
And you had a planner on your wedding day?
I had, day of.
Day of.
Yeah.
Cool. So at what point were you, so you had planned everything up to that and then you handed it off to, and it was someone you knew or it was someone you had hired in?
Someone I had hired in.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do you think, like, when it comes to photo shoots and especially family photo shoots, is there a time frame that you tell people, like, I would at least give an hour, I would at least give 2 hours? Like, can you kind of get that at this point? So
when I make their initial schedule, I kind of give like my standard, and then if I see their shot list, I adjust it. So if the client's insistent on all these combinations, even, despite recommendations, that's fine. We'll obviously do what we can to get them all done, but I will adjust the timing if I need to.
How do you feel about the group shot? Like after, because, like if people do want a shot of everyone, maybe, and a lot of times we've seen that too, we come out of a ceremony and they may have a group shot. And it's a nice way to be able to get everybody, but is that something you see, like, or you recommend for people who want a shot?
I actually don't see it a ton. I don't find that's a big request. I find sometimes, they'll rally everyone on the dance floor and be like, someone find the photographer and hail them down. So we'll try to do that, but that's still not everybody. There's probably inevitably someone missing in that photo. I don't do too many of those.
What about photo booths though? That would be a good way to make sure that you kind of have an album of everybody if you don't get a shot with them, right?
Right. So it's funny you say that, because to one of your other questions coming up about which vendor did you not hire, I did not have a photo booth at my wedding, and I wouldn't say it's a regret, but I'd say that would have been a nice vendor to add to the list.
Because you would have that album afterwards just to see everyone.
Yeah, and just like funny pictures and, moments that the photographer is not as focused on, just other moments. So
do you think you see a lot of photo booths these days?
Oh,
they're pretty.
I'd say majority of my weddings have them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, so let's talk about the wedding day portion, the ceremony, your ceremony specifically. So first of all, did you get ready close to the location of your ceremony? Like, what was the logistics of that?
So I didn't, and Corinne, you're asking all the right questions.
I'm on here.
Did you see my answers before? Because one of your other questions was, is there anything you'd change about your wedding day? And I think one of the things, it all worked out in our ceremony, timing went off fine, but I was too ambitious with photo locations as well. I got ready at home, which I wouldn't change. I really liked doing that. But then, I went to 3 different locations for my portraits. Then we went to a different location for bridal party and a different location for family. Way too much. Not necessary at all.
Did the locations have meaning to you, or you just kind of wanted a variety?
I think it was for variety. some of the locations had meaning, but like deep down looking back, that's not what I think about when I look at the picture.
Right.
So ultimately, I think having a nice backdrop is great, and just making it easier. Like I didn't have to move my friends around as much as I did. They were good sports, but
yeah. And you know what's interesting about that from our perspective is that a lot of times when we take photo and video, like the shots might be tight. Like they might be just from your waist up, and your background sometimes doesn't matter. If it's just beautiful nature imagery, like stuff like that, it just works unless there's one specific location with like a wide shot, you know?
Right.
So you had started your prep at home, and then you were moving to the ceremony. So what did you learn kind of from the ceremony perspective of things?
So I think from the ceremony, I think the biggest, I think advice I would give going into your ceremony is let the little like mistakes or blunders or like funny moments happen, and don't, start beating of sweat. One of the, I have brides all the time that are like, what if I trip? I mean, God forbid, you don't want to trip, but even if you did, like, it would be something memorable at the end of the day and something different from what people have seen time and time again. Right. My nephew waves down the aisle to someone he recognized in the audience. That couldn't have been scripted, but we still talk about it. I don't totally remember the, actual symbolic things of the ceremony fresh in my mind. It's those little offbeat moments that I remember. So, if someone says something funny, if someone sneezes, if something, if you miss, like we do a ton of Jewish weddings, if you miss the glass when you go to step on it, like, don't worry about it.
What's the percentage of that happening? Because I have seen that as well, where they hit it and it rolls off, and it's pretty funny. It like really gets the crowd going, right?
Exactly. Like, stuff happens, and you'll get it on the next try, and
or not. I've seen it twice before.
or third time's a charm.
Yeah.
And don't sweat it. So that's like my advice kind of about the ceremony, and don't overthink it. Just, you're getting married. It's all going to be legal, all said and done, even if a little mishap happens, and it's comical, and the audience, I actually think, likes it more than
for sure. Did you have what's your husband's name? I should have asked that at the beginning. Steven?
Yeah.
Did you and Steven have a first look, or was it traditional?
Yeah, no, we did a reveal, which, I'm a huge fan of. Really makes the schedule for the afternoon flow really nicely with photos. So we went from reveal to our multiple photo locations, and we got married at a hotel, ended up at the hotel where we did ceremony and reception together.
And so you liked having like the option. Obviously, first look worked with your schedule, but you also just enjoyed seeing him before the actual ceremony.
Yeah. There was that, that was a highlight of the day too, seeing his reaction. All my friends were huddled around, and family, seeing their reactions. So
now this was 2014. So I feel like first looks were just kind of being introduced a little bit at that point. Did you do more of the traditional walk up and tap on the shoulder, he turns around, or did you guys do something different?
Yeah, no, we did definitely the more traditional. I even found too, like I only started planning then, but in later years, I noticed people wanting to like switch it up and do something creative. But
yeah, what else have you seen? Because I've seen a few things. What have you seen?
We've done the elevator a couple times.
So who's in the elevator, her or him?
Him.
Okay. And then it's up, the door's open, and she's there.
Exactly.
Very cool.
We've done the balloons, where she's holding the balloons and then releases them. We have done a memorable one was where we had a car in between them, and then the car rolled away and revealed.
I've seen that video. That's cool.
Yeah, so that was a fun one.
Do they say to you, like, we want to brainstorm something different? Is that kind of how the conversation begins?
Yeah. I definitely get that request to make it unique from time to time.
We've done, ours have been a little bit more stationary, but it's like, it is the traditional one. And then we've also had him walking to her, and then them just facing each other. So there is no tap on the shoulder, but they're actually watching each other. And he's actually getting like a glimpse of her coming towards him for, the amount of time that you would get coming down the aisle too, which kind of gives it the opportunity for that emotion, which is nice. So we've seen a couple different things.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of a tree where they're around a side of a wall, but I haven't experienced that yet. But
yeah, we did a same-sex wedding, so it was two brides, so they both had dresses and both were surprising each other, because often the time the reveal is centered around the groom seeing the bride, and like the groom's outfit isn't necessarily, you know, the exciting part of that moment.
right.
But it was kind of cool that they both had that moment for each other, and they were both held blindfolds and then both threw them off at the same time.
Oh, that's cute.
Very cute. Yeah.
You can get very creative with first looks, like obviously, as we're hearing.
Yeah.
The balloon, that sounds really cute with the balloons.
Yeah, it's flopped a couple times. So
like they didn't. Oh, the wind.
If the wind doesn't carry them the right way. So we did one also where the wind blew the balloons like towards the groom, and like the ribbon like kind of wrapped around him, and it was again though it made for the best pictures. It's like that's one of the reveals I remember because it was funny. And so I encourage those funny moments and let them happen, and don't sweat the small stuff if it's not the picture perfect reveal you see on your feed or other feeds, and it's okay.
Yeah, for sure. And it makes for, especially if you do have a video team on site, you'll have some funny outtakes, things like that, right?
Exactly.
So it's worth it. So let's walk into the reception a little bit. So we covered you weren't sweating during the ceremony. You were feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
How did the first kiss go?
It went well.
Okay.
I think we did it really fast. Like when I watched the video back, like I don't think it was that passionate. It was more of like kiss and then like let's hug everyone around you and like revel in that. But you know, it was all good.
Sometimes people do a double kiss, right? To kind of
see that I don't remember. Like if it weren't for the video, hint, I wouldn't have remembered if we did a single, a double, but that's why we watched. I actually watched mine on my anniversary, watched my wedding video this year.
Did you? Aw, yay.
Yeah.
I love that. I have a client who watches, well, I hope they all watch, but one specifically that writes me to tell me that every year, that's like their tradition is that they sit and watch it together. So I always love hearing that. It's amazing. So then into the reception, like, okay, let's walk through the next part, which would be the cocktail hour. What was that like at your wedding? And did you learn anything from the cocktail hour into the reception, into the grand entrance moment?
Yeah. So I actually ask every single one of my couples, do you want to join cocktail hour? And I say, you don't have to decide right now. We can obviously decide day of and you can change your mind. But I try to get a feel for what they want to do beforehand. I chose to join my cocktail hour. Like it's like a tradition in the Jewish religion. You take like a few minutes to be alone as a newly married couple. And we did that as quickly as we could and went out and joined the party. I enjoyed that. I think I thought of it as at the time was, I'll get, saying hi to a lot of people kind of out of the way. I can then avoid like going around to tables. Cause like when I got married 6 years ago, like going around to the tables was like still a conversation. Like, do we do that? Do we not? I definitely think that has changed a lot since I got married. I don't feel that ever in the
It's not happening, right?
That's not happening. Exactly.
No. Yeah.
So I joined cocktail hour for that reason. And like I didn't regret it. I just don't think you get to as many conversations as you think. The minute the first person sees you, they're going to stop you and it's impossible to make your way through the crowd. And I definitely find now the trend is not a trend, but I definitely, when I ask that question, more couples say they want the hour to themselves. And then they really want the grand entrance. So my entrance was still, we still ran in like everybody else does, but people had seen us already.
And there weren't any whoopsie moments in the cocktail hour with red wine. We heard from Jenny Boy recently, and she had a bit of an experience.
Yes, no, not that. It happened to my sister.
Oh, it did.
She got food all over her light pink dress, and there it lived the rest of the evening. Oh, no. But I managed to stay clean, which isn't typically. I'm known for getting a stain on my shirt when I'm It didn't happen.
Let's clarify. You were clean until after the grand entrance, and then probably
Yeah.
once the party started.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
The
Maybe
bottom
not
of
so
my
much.
dress was pretty banged up by the end, but I kept my dress on the whole night, and it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, well, that kind of leads me into like, what do you do with your dress post-wedding? Do you keep it? Do you hang it up? What happens?
Mine's in a box, but I had big plans. So I'm currently taking this interview from my office, and my dream was to put my dress in a big shadow box and hang it on the wall. But when I started to, my dress was really puffy, and when I started to get pricing for shadow boxes, they were like felt like worth more than the dress. It was just insane what a real big picture frame costs.
Yeah.
So that idea got shelved until maybe one day when I can afford to do that, I will. But for now,
Need a carpenter. We'll just
yeah. I know. I need someone to build me one.
Any carpenters out there?
Looking for a shadow box.
Seeking
Yeah.
shadow box builder, please.
Yeah. So that's my dream, to do that, but haven't done it yet.
Okay, so you're in the reception. Talk to me about first dance. When did you have your first dance? Well, I'm sure you had a hora when you entered.
We had a hora, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So I had the hora, which was awesome, and then went into our first dance was only after the last speech, which was my husband's speech, and then first dance into party. And that I think we actually did same day edit into first dance into party. And now that, that was definitely, in terms of what was my favorite part of the evening, I just loved once the formalities were done and like we truly just got to like dance the night away, because I actually feel like I did that. I just danced till they kicked me out.
That's what you should do, right?
Yeah. And that's when I felt like, okay, this is like the best night of my life. Like I enjoyed every aspect of it, especially as someone who runs these days. Like I knew what to expect, and all the commotion of the day didn't stress me out. I reveled in that and loved it. But just like once we got to party, that was the best.
Did you have 2 pairs of shoes? Did you have something? Were you in heels for the ceremony? And
yes, I was in heels like morning till, kept them on even through the first dance. Someone gave me advice before the wedding saying, don't do your first dance in like flats. And I don't know why it resonated with me. So I didn't. I did it in heels. And then I took them off and then put on like, I had like ballet flats.
For the party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good tip then.
Yeah.
Were your feet okay at that point?
Yeah. My shoes were shockingly comfortable given how high they were. But yeah, they were okay.
So how about, I would like you to stress, because you are the party planner, but stress the importance of being on the dance floor and being present with your guests if it is your wedding. Like, talk to us about like how important that is.
It's so important. So as you know, I'm a big TikToker these days, and I made a TikTok about this, and it's been my most popular one. It's like gone viral in TikTok land. But like, everyone says, I ask every single couple when they first call me, I say, what's your priority? What do you want people to walk away from your wedding saying? And every single one says they want to be an amazing party. And I can give you all the ingredients to make an incredible party. But at the end of the day, it's about what you make of it. So the bride and groom, everyone, you're the centerpiece of the party. Everyone's always going to be looking to where you're at. So where you are is where your guests are going to be. So if you want them on the dance floor, you make sure you're on that dance floor. If you want them hanging by the bar, you make sure you're hanging by the bar. And I think you get where I'm going. So
not the bathroom.
Yeah.
Don't hang in the bathroom all night.
Don't hang in the bathroom.
Because actually you will get stuck in the bathroom, because it ends up becoming a place of like conversation. And before you know it, you're 30 minutes being in the bathroom on your wedding night.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Time goes so quick. So every moment's precious. But I I remember I was just on that dance floor. I don't think I went to the bathroom that night. Like, don't recall that whatsoever. And I know I actually, like, I made the decision, like, not to heavily drink at my wedding because I just didn't want any repercussions of that. And I know I was on that dance floor, and I think that definitely contributed.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have band or DJ?
Both.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Because the band needs a break.
Yes. And one of their breaks was my husband got up and sang with some of his buddies playing instruments. So that was also a highlight.
Was that a surprise for you?
No.
Oh, you knew?
He wasn't getting anything past the wedding planner. That's right?
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute though.
Yeah.
So I have seen you on TikTok. You're doing a fabulous job.
Thank you.
What is your TikTok handle for everyone out there who's listening and who has joined the TikTok adventure?
Yes, it is Melissa Baum.
3 dots Baum.
Yep. Melissa Baum was taken. So.
Oh, that's weird.
I had some periods. Yeah.
What dance are you learning now?
I'm gonna record the Cars That Go Boom. I learned that one.
Okay.
That's a favorite these days. And
the only one I've been hearing is Blinding Lights by The Weeknd.
I don't see that one on my feed anymore.
Well, it is starting to phase out, but for a good month, it was almost every video. And then I would hear it on the radio and I couldn't listen anymore.
Okay, so I had that moment too where I didn't like, at first when I got TikTok, there's sound bites.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the majority of them were like from like popular songs. So like
right.
I heard some of these songs on the radio after in my car and I'm like, wait. This is like real? This is like, I thought like TikTok like found these clips out of thin air and like they were obscure and like became trendy.
Yeah, like artists were creating specifically for that platform, but it's not. It's actual.
I know. They're real.
Yeah, real songs that become released on there. So it's pretty awesome. Okay, so these are some great tips. So we've got photo shoot locations, maybe not so necessary to spread out as much, depending on, unless it has meaning for you. I think that's a pretty good tip.
Right.
And then you did have 2 pairs of shoes. So this is very important. Your ceremony, no sweating, no problem. And if there is a problem, it'll be funny. You can laugh it off.
Remember. Exactly. They're not going to remember the same sermon or prayer they've heard before. They're going to remember these offbeat moments.
And then thinking about having your cocktail hour with your guests is another one, whether you want it on your own or with the guests.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wrote down, which actually happens before the wedding, but was a regret of mine, and I've told every client ever since never to do this. I thought I was too cool for numbering my RSVP cards, thinking that everyone would fill them out perfectly, and I didn't want to take the time, and I thought the little number 16 in pen would be ugly on the back. Big mistake. We had to do a lot of detective work with no-name RSVPs when it came down to it.
Oh, so you sent them out unlabeled, and they just said, yes, we're coming. Yes, I'll have this meal or whatever it said. And then they came back, but you didn't know. They didn't write their name.
Yeah. And we even had names line. Like, I'm like, oh, my card is foolproof. We're not going to have these issues. Nope. Some people just still make check marks and don't give you the rest of the information. I think some people inherently actually rely on the numbering. I think they just assume it's there. Mm-hmm. And I knew that was the thing to do, but I put myself above the numbering and I am not, and I should not have done that.
Big mistake.
So that was also on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it, when you're speaking with a stationery company, do you say can you put numbers on them, or do you manually have to do it yourself so that you're creating your own list?
Depends. I think most of my clients opt to stuff the invitations themselves. So when they do that, then the numbering's on them. But some companies will do it for you. So we ask the numbering to be done, but there's margin for error. So I don't blame someone else wanting to do it on someone else's behalf. I've stuffed clients' invitations before and I have done it, but
Mm-hmm.
Take your time. One thing I've done for a few clients and I love, there's an extra charge, so I understand if not, it's not for everyone, but the envelopes that get sent, like the guest return address gets printed on their RSVP card. So it's a really elegant way of labeling them, and you can avoid the numbering system because you know who it's coming back from.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hot tips with Melissa Baum.
Yeah. Yeah. Follow me.
Amazing. Well, thanks for taking the time to walk us through your wedding day and share some pretty key pieces of advice, I think, that would be good for our listeners to learn for when they're getting married.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Love it.
Talking to you as always.
I hope I get to see you out there soon. But until then,
me too.
I will.
From your mouth.
Happy to see you virtually.
Yeah.
So we'll say cheers, my dear. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Well done. Ready?
Not as cool.
Cheers.
Cheers.